Hey everyone, Christopher Ruocchio here, author of the Sun Eaters science fantasy series from Doll Books and seven-year veteran of the publishing industry. January is my anniversary. So I guess happy anniversary to me and happy new year to all of you. I wanted to sit down right at the top of the year and do a video talking about all of the things that are coming from me, coming from the Sun Eater universe in the coming year, because we've got plenty of new releases, but there's also stuff that's going to be happening here on the YouTube channel and on the website and with the Patreon and elsewhere, all sorts of things that I wanted to go ahead and get into. And I wanted to start right at the top by talking about all of the new books, that's books plural, coming out this year, as well as short stories and things like that. So without further ado, let us get into it. But before we start talking about all of the new books and things, one proviso, and that is that, as many of you know already, Kingdoms of Death was delayed from March 8th to March 22nd because of difficulties in printing and things like that happening because of supply chain problems and shortages and things. So it is possible that any or all of the dates that I'm going to go through in this video are going to be altered at some point because of circumstances entirely beyond my control. That being said, the information I am about to give you is accurate as of today. So I will be doing my best to keep everybody updated should things change. As I said already, Kingdoms of Death, which is book 4 in Sun Eater series, is the next major new release coming out from me. It's coming on March the 22nd of this year. For as long as the wait has been, it sure seems to have gotten here pretty quickly, at least for me. Now, work on Kingdoms of Death is done. I am reviewing the proofread right now, just catching the last couple typos, missed words, things like that. But all the hard stuff's done, and that'll be done completely by the end of the week. The proofread is literally the last phase in production, and it is basically done. I'm in chapter 11 of 50 now at time of recording, or 51. I think 51 chapters at time of recording. So we're very close. We're doing about 5 a day. So as I say, another week or so and we will be done. This, of course, is part 1 of the 2-part split. The book that I wrote as Kingdoms of Death last year and the year before ended up chopped in half because of paper shortages and got turned into 2 standalone novels. The first of which is still called Kingdoms of Death, still out in March, and it is, to all intents and purposes, book 4, and it is complete. It stands alone as it is. I'm very happy with how it came out despite the editorial hiccup. I think you all will really enjoy it, or really hate me for it, one of the two, because as I've said before, it is far and away, I think, the darkest and the heaviest of the series, despite being the shortest. I got the proof pages, as I said, and it weighs in at 538 pages, which makes it on the shelf about a quarter inch smaller than Empire of Silence was. So it is the smallest of the series, but in a way, I think that if you didn't know there was some shenanigans happening backstage, no one would really notice anything was up. Still, a healthy size, as they say. So that's the first big thing in March. The next thing that's coming out is my last reprints collection with my friend Hank Davis, an anthology called Time Troopers. And Time Troopers is coming out on April 5th, so it will be shortly after the release of Kingdoms of Death. It's a collection of military sort of flavored time travel stories. It's mostly reprints from writers like Robert Heinlein and Paul Anderson. There's a whole H.P. and Piper novel in the book. It's a short novel because it's a novel from, I think, the 40s. It's like 40,000 words, something like that. But it's quite a sizable collection. It does include my short story, The Archinaut, which was really a fun one, and I think for the longtime Sun Eater fans will be a really rewarding one. It's set deep in Imperial history about ISD 3000, so very early on. They haven't figured out things like artificial gravity or shields yet, and it features a little bit of time travel. And I'll tell you this, it was a bit of a trick figuring out how to make time travel work in Sun Eater context without really breaking the established rules of things. But I found a way, and I think it's one that you all will find pretty interesting. There's a character in it from a group that I think a lot of you will have been wanting to see, and I think the way I pulled it off was really interesting and kind of novel. So I'm excited for people to get to read that story in April. Now, speaking of short stories, the next major release from me in 2022 is going to be Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2. Now, Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 is completely written It is in copy edit right now. My friend who does my copy editing is reviewing it, and I am working with Nathan Anderson to get the cover for the second one done. The cover for that one will feature Valka, and it'll sort of look like the cover from Tales Volume 1. He did a rendition of Hadrian dressed as a gladiator for that, and that will be coming out either in June or July. I haven't quite pinned down a date yet. It's just going to depend on how long it takes to get everything polished. I've given myself plenty of time to make sure that everything gets taken care of, gets ironed out. So it'll be up for pre-order as soon as may be, and I'll pick a date. It'll just depend on how close things get. Tales of Sun Eater Volume 2 features just 6 stories. There were 7 in Volume 1, but 2 of these have never been printed before. There was only 1 new story in Volume 1. So this new one features this new collection that is features the Dragon Slayers, which was printed in World Breakers. It features Fire in the Sky, which was a Simultaneous Times podcast original story. That actually has never been in print either. So they're technically 3 stories that were never in print before. The second one is Knowledge, which was also on the Simultaneous Times podcast. Those are both audio originals. You can listen to them for free, but they've never been in print. And then as well, Kill the King, which was in a book called Dogs of God, edited by Chris Kennedy. Good Intentions, which is a Valka point of view story that was in a book called Shapers of Worlds, edited by Ed Willett. And then the last original story, which has never been seen anywhere in any form whatsoever, is called The Four Devils. The Four Devils is a Crispin story. It's kind of a sequel to The Lesser Devil. So there are people who wanted me to continue the Crispin thread. And I had a little bit of sort of an epilogue, kind of a grace note coda, thing that I think Crispin needed to have done. So it's sort of a postscript to The Lesser Devil. Although that said, it's actually a pretty sizable story. It's about 10,000 words, and it is about the Marlowe family reaction to news that Hadrian is not dead and has in fact turned up on Emesh, which a lot of people have been curious about. So I think if you were a fan of The Lesser Devil in particular, you really are going to want to check out Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 when it hits digital shelves in June or July. Now, as with Volume 1 of Tales of the Sun Eater, Volume 2 is going to be ebook only. The short story collections have been ebook only, and that's for a very simple reason, which is that the collection so far is not long enough to justify a traditional print publication, right? And so the plan is, once I've gotten all of the Sun Eater sort of cycle stories together, I'll do 1 volume down the road, be that a hardcover, trade paperback, and hopefully get that traditionally published. You'll be able to pick it up in audio and everything. But that's going to be years out, right? So I've been sort of as a compromise doing these little short story collections, putting them up as ebooks for just a couple bucks for folks who want to read those stories now. And it's been a nice way to sort of fill the gap between book releases, since those take a little bit, longer. And so Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 will, as Volume 1 was, be available only as an ebook. I just want to make sure that everybody knows, that that's the plan, and then that's why. There were a lot of questions when the first one came out as to why there wasn't a paperback, and the answer is it's all part of the plan. I want the novelty of these stories being in print to be reserved for the complete collection a little bit down the road. The next new thing for me after that will be a short story called Gutter Ballet that is being released in an anthology called No Game for Knights, which is being edited by my friends Larry Correa and Casey Izell. No Game for Knights is going to be an anthology of film noir sort of stories, sci-fi, fantasy, noir stories, sort of focusing on the detective, right? And they did one a couple of years ago that was all, femme fatales, and so this is sort of the follow-up to that. I was not in the first collection. I'm only in this one. And Gutter Ballet is about a detective who used to be a Solon Imperial Knight who is sort of living among the Extrasolarians. And he's got that classic, film noir, setup where a lady comes to his office in the middle of the night with a problem and he has to solve it. And I'm really, really proud of that story in particular. Larry loved it, which was really cool. I think a lot of his opinion on these things, and it was a blast to write. It's fun dealing with sort of Extrasolarian side of things. I haven't been able to do that in a couple books. We've been very Sealson focused, and so getting to look back at that part of the universe is very exciting. And I think people will enjoy that one as well. No Game for Knights is coming out in September, on September 6th. in fact. And so we got a nice, sort of spread throughout the year here. You got, a couple months between things, and that way there's always something going on. But that story is great, and it will, Gutter Ballet will not be in Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2. It's got to be held for Volume 3 because I don't have the right to reprint it for a little while, since it's going to be original to No Game for Knights. So if you want to read that story when it comes out, you have to get No Game for Knights. It's not going to be anywhere else. And just, pay attention to the channel, and to my newsletter and things like that for updates and, links when things get closer. Now, at the top of this video, I did say books, right? And I did not mean when I said that you will be getting a bunch of short stories in one novel. No. As you all know, Kingdoms of Death, the original Kingdoms of Death, was chopped in half. The second half has become book 5. The Sun Eater went from being a 5 to at least a 6-book series. And the second half of that divide, which is now book 5, which has a title that will be revealed, I hope soon, will be released in December of 2022. Now, this is sort of the big banner takeaway from the video, 10 minutes in or whatever, but there will be two major Sun Eater releases, 2 Sun Eater novels in 2022. Kingdoms of Death in March, book 5 in December. This is going to be another, full installment of Hadrian's story, and it's going to get us through well the end of what I had originally envisioned book 4 was going to be getting us through. So, very exciting. We should have a title reveal and a cover reveal for that very, very soon alongside pre-order links, but know that it should be out the first Tuesday in December, which I think is December 6th. So that will round out the year just in time for the holidays with the second Sun Eater novel of 2022. By the time that's out, I hope to be, if not done writing book 6, very, very close. Whether or not book 6 is the final or the penultimate book in the series, I do not know at this time. That will be a Rubicon that we will cross later. But what remains the same is this. By the time you get Kingdoms of Death in March, book 5 will be finished. By the time you get book 5 in December, book 6 should be finished. And if it's not, it'll be very, very close. Things hopefully will be moving pretty quick this year. I hope to be as busy as humanly possible. Now, there is one more thing that should be mentioned in terms of new releases in 2022. And I've held it to the end because I don't have a fixed date for it. And that is Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories. Now, many of you will know we did a special limited print run of a book called The Lesser Devil and Other Stories. Me and my friend Rob at Derrida Books in the UK, we did 500 of those. They were cloth-bound hard covers with unique art by Kieran Yanner and a bundle, The Lesser Devil, with all the stories in Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 1. And that was, like I said, that was a limited edition. It was a signed edition. Everybody who got it was very, very, pleased with what they got. It's a beautiful book. Rob did a wonderful, wonderful job putting that together. Rob and I have been talking, and we do want to do sort of sequel to that with Queen Amid Ashes, which is a Hadrian point of view novella that I wrote for Sword and Planet, which released last month in December as an ebook, and the print got delayed until this month, January. Sword and Planet will be out in a couple weeks, and when it is, I'll be doing videos and stuff like that about it, since it'll finally be available, digitally and in print. But Queen Amid Ashes is going to get bundled with all the stories from Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 2 that we talked about earlier in the video, and is also going to get a bit of an upgrade. I am writing an extra battle scene, 4 chapters that I am adding to Queen Amid Ashes to make kind of a Queen Amid Ashes director's cut, if you will. Release the Ruocchio cut of Queen Amid Ashes. And that's going to be exclusive to the limited edition and Derrida Books, Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories. It's the only way to get those 4 extra chapters for now. Probably a little bit down the road, that'll get a separate publication. But it's going to be sort of the unique pull. If you want to read those stories, you got to buy the Derrida Books edition. That'll be my next project. As soon as I finish work on book 5, I'm going to finish. I've written one of those 4 chapters already, but I'm going to write the next 3 and get that all done and over to Rob so that we can get into production on Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories. We'll probably start work on that around March, and sometime between then and June, maybe. We'll see the cover and the pre-orders will go up. We'll do another signing stream, and we'll do things like that, like we did for Lesser Devil and Other Stories. And I think it'll be a blast. Now, Queen Amid Ashes and Other Stories should release probably somewhere in like the October-ish range, maybe. in 2022. It might be early 2023. We haven't quite pinned that down yet, but it'll be either in time for Christmas or shortly thereafter this coming year. So be on the lookout for that. As always, there will be more updates here on the channel. Now that wraps things up with regards to new books, new stories, and that sort of thing, unless, of course, 2022 decides to throw a curveball at me, which, let's face it, if the track records for the 2020s are any indication, it will throw at least 3. So who knows? But that is far from everything that should be discussed. The next thing that bears mentioning is book signings, right? I've had people asking, am I going to do book tours with these new releases? Am I going to be, in stores at all? How can I get signed books? And the answer right now is that I don't know exactly. I don't expect that there will be any full-blown book tours of the sort that I did with Dave Butler back in 2019 for Howling Dark. I don't know that I'll be driving around seeing a bunch of cities. I, at the very least, hope to be doing book signings here in Raleigh at Quail Ridge Books. I have to talk to them about whether or not they're hosting events in their store still, with things the way that they have been. At the bare minimum, though, if you want a signed copy of Kingdoms of Death or Book 5 or even of the older books, as has always been policy, all you have to do is go to quailridgebooks.com. Quail Ridge Books is my local independent bookseller. There's a section during checkout called Other Comments. Fill out in Other Comments saying that you would like your book signed and how you would like that book signed. If you would like it personalized, to Stephen, to Stephanie, if you want it to say, this must be, or for the Empire, or whatever the hell, let them know. Within reason, of course. I'm not gonna, write a whole quotation in Cielson or something, because that actually takes a lot of time. But if you want your book signed, please do that, and they will be glad to ship it to you. I think anywhere within the U.S. International folks might be a little bit more complicated. I, of course, have signed book plate stickers that I do over on the Patreon. We'll talk about the Patreon in a bit. That's great if you live out of the country, if you live especially overseas, because I know that shipping signed books back and forth can be very, very expensive, since I have done some of that as well. But if you want to just get my signature on a sticker for your book, I'm happy to do that via the Patreon. It will also be the case that we will be working on a signed edition of Kingdoms of Death, of Book 5, etc., with my new publisher in the UK, which is a story for another time. But with my new publisher, working on that so that we can get a signed edition available through Anderida Books, just like has been available in the UK and EU for the first 3 novels in the series and for The Lesser Devil. So keep an eye out for that. But yes, my hope is that I will be doing in-store events at Quail Ridge Books for books 4 and 5. If not for book 4 in March, hopefully for book 5 in December, Lord, if we're still living in a cyberpunk dystopia in December. I will unplug myself from the Matrix. So that is my hope. I will, of course, be doing release day live streams here on the channel for all of the new material, as I've been doing all this previous year. So please do keep on the lookout for that. There's going to be a lot more on the channel in general. I'm looking to do some more live streams. Once I get my office finished upstairs, which should be in the next month or so, fingers crossed, I'm going to be building a new computer, and I've had some people who want me to play Elden Ring. So I think I'm going to play through Elden Ring here on the channel live, which I think will be really fun. For those who don't know, I'm a big fan of particularly Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I don't claim to be very good at them, mind you, but I've had a bunch of people who'd asked if I would play Elden Ring live, and I think that will be fun. That will be a nice way to spend some time with you all on the channel, and just sort of grow the channel and things alongside the writing. But for those who fear that my writing will suffer because of that, rest assured, I've been playing video games the whole time. So doing it publicly is not going to ruin things too much, I don't think. Now, spinning off from the subject of book signings and store events and things like that, what about conventions? And the answer is that yes, I do intend on hitting the convention circuit in 2022. I do not have a fully fleshed out formal schedule for that yet. Obviously, my schedule for 2021 got pretty badly decimated, shall we say, annihilated. Really, would be more accurate, by the printing delays on Empire of Silence. I missed, I think, 4 shows at the end of the year, and so that was a bit of a catastrophe. But Empire of Silence is back in print, and we are planning, I am planning, that is to say, on being out there. The only show I know for sure that I'm going to be at this point is Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida, in the middle of February. After that, I don't really have a schedule planned out. It is, of course, incredibly likely that I will be at GalaxyCon here in Raleigh in, I think, July, August. I forget exactly, but in the summer. So, because of course that's not very far to go. So why would I miss it? But beyond those two, I don't have a plan yet. I don't know. We've talked about places like Indianapolis or like Dragon Con, Atlanta, and some other places as well. So we'll see what happens. But the only show that I have any firm commitment to right now is Pensacon in Florida in February. It's a great show. And if you are in the area, I would love to see you. Come on out. I'll be signing books basically the whole time. Just a couple more things bear mentioning before the end of the video. The first is the Patreon will be continuing into the next year. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who has been supporting me over on Patreon. If you're watching this video, know that I am very grateful. It was really a humbling experience to see people, jumping on board and with such enthusiasm and kindness. It's been really a nice thing to see, and it's been a great help as well. And so that's been wonderful. But if you would like to become a patron as well, there's plenty of stuff over there. I do weekly writing updates if you want to get a sense of what I'm doing on a sort of a day-to-day basis, get the numbers, how many words I've written, how many words I wrote last week, how many chapters are done, how many chapters there are to go, get a sense of how things are going. You can get those on the Patreon. You can get monthly preview drafts, be that of chapters from upcoming books or of short stories, or even looks at older things that are never really going to come to light. I've been sharing the original version of Empire of Silence, which is a book called The Murdered Sun, S-U-N. Completely different story, really, than Empire of Silence was, particularly after Hadrian leaves Delos. You can check those out on the Patreon. I've got trading cards I've been doing of all the book covers, as well as those signed book plate stickers that I've been talking about. There are slots to get signed books because I get a whole stack of signed books. I get a whole stack of books when a book comes out and I sign them, and I never know what to do with them. Those slots are all full at the moment, but if you want to keep an eye out, you never know when somebody might cancel. But that will basically be continuing next year in exactly the same vein as it has been going for this year previous. And I just wanted to thank everybody again for their support. That's been great, and I'm looking forward to doing all the updates and sticking with it in 2022. I've already touched a little bit on the fact that the new Sun Eater headquarters, that being my upstairs office, is nearly done. We're putting in the sort of wall cabinets around where my desk is going to be, and that's kind of, except for the stair rails, the last thing before I can get the inspection and actually be cleared to live in my own house. So it's very close. And once that's done, obviously, like I've already said, I'm going to be getting a new machine. We'll be able to do a lot more with that from a technological standpoint. And I think that'll really improve the live streaming experience, but it'll also really improve the things that I can do with the computer generally. I'm hoping to really be able to do some new stuff in the new year, and I think that'll be fun. So hopefully the next few weeks or so, next month, maybe next 2 months, we'll really be into that, and that will be really exciting, I think. The last thing is that I know that work on the website revision totally stalled out for the last couple of months. My wife and I are working on it literally this week, like right now. I stopped to come and do this because it needed to get recorded. But we are very close. It is nearly done, and we should have it up in January, finally. I know I've been saying that for ages. Things were just a little bit more complicated than we initially thought. There was a lot more, programming I had to do, particularly with the merchandise store and making sure that everyone's financial information is handled responsibly. But we figured out more or less how to do it. It's just going to take a little bit more time to wrap things up. So do expect the sort of website update, live stream, and the tour and all those announcements coming very soon. I am really thrilled with the new website. I think it looks great, and I think you all will be pretty pleased with how it's turned out. Expect that very soon. I am sorry again about the delay. I know everybody wants those t-shirts, and we will have them for you very soon, I promise. But that about does it for the 2022 forecast video. Expect the regular monthly Sun Eater update in a few days. It takes a little while to do these videos. I'm not as quick at it as some people are, and I don't know how people make videos every day. I just don't. But do expect the regular Sun Eater update here fairly soon, and of course we'll be right back to things with the monthly Q&A streams and all of your regularly scheduled programming here in the near future. Happy New Year, everybody! This really is, as I said in my newsletter, going to be the year of the Sun Eater. It's going to be very, very exciting here in 2022 AD, and I hope you all have a wonderful year, and I'm looking forward to sharing my stories with you in it. Until next time, everybody, stay well.